Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, there was visible terror and shock among patrons at the premiering of Crushed, JoyNews' latest hotline documentary, highlighting the menace of road accidents in Ghana. With over 700 lives lost in just the first quarter of 2021, the country could lose up to 22% of GDP in a decade if this trend is sustained. With all stakeholders in the sector under one roof, a strong case was made for urgent action to be taken. We'll hear from the stakeholders shortly, but here are excerpts of the documentary.
On 7th February 2017, he was driving one of Ghana's famous intercity buses, VIP, from Sunyani to Accra, with 31 people on board. At Nsawam, a long truck veered into their lane and hit the bus.
Timurasa inazona ahono ye mochire omusi mochire was anti omode grabus akasi ni biagu ti si force anana tweme timi ese me control car na ntimi na bridge na omo fast wura mochire no na me right left side no say car ne tenisi timi left side no na ball bridge ni the bridge ni msa na afa on the steer na ajefu na de me control be na ye be 230 timi ya zaka na kwa na akubo mo chire no omo gate kese pillar no na ko hitim we na afa sa kana ajina na passion fo nyina sisiye timi ya se misina se me hu se me nan akoshe a boss ana me frontal na e paye nti piano inside no bar car no ne piano me na ko share city na se.
They got no help until 6 a.m. So for about 4 hours, Kwame's left leg was trapped in the wreckage. The pain was more than he could bear. He watched helplessly as he bled while others around him screamed in pain.
Na moje tu ni moja ni nyunu sa ti na soja fo bi zo me no mo na fi so nya no mo be 20 no mo mekan nto mo na be jeje me wona se fridge ni musu no mo se ma ye mla no mo hwe gu na nyunu to mo hwe gu za na ma ye okay sa ansa na nto mo ba ya no 5 cents fo no du na mo ye se omu hu me na no ana mo se sa de omo de omo twe e ho na amo abetale e ho no omo de ahoma so to mo twi ba ko na mu se me ha no aya ha na mo ga mu se me ka che so jani no jam chense o mo kanje mu zo mu nyana me na mu se asie na ya ha because already na me te won me de saka mu se muja na me sa nyina yi muja na me ka zo mu peja me nti so jani no etia o mu zo mu nyana ka na ba na chi na me sa sa be kan si na ze me nti pensi ni bi.
Sometimes the patient is trapped in a vehicle. Some of the body parts might have been stuck to parts of the vehicle. And so in pulling the patient, you are likely to even damage some of the internal organs. So if the professionals arrive and they see that pulling the patient may not be adequate, they will have to wait and get the fire service who have the extrication machines to come and cut the various parts of the vehicles and release the victim.
Kwame was the only person who got injured in this accident. By the time they reached the hospital, his left leg was literally dead and had to be amputated from above the knee. 39-year-old Kwame received no compensation from his car owner or the insurance company.
So we there na me pese me boss but
kian kafa ya shey ho den anka amman kofon so nsu nyansa na kwa na ekoso
on ya mama isu no do afa no me biblim na Like, it is a planted, it is an hour to pay baby dinner. Problems at home. Oh, to me, at times you are in Besse, make I be Ghana, my too much for me, Pessemi, okay, 3 years. To be no a question, Bibiana, Metisa command and a catch and say, oh, Moami, and also the report on the brain lawyer. Do on the man. Papa, I know Tobaja is a papa for my child with this kind of insurance for a car 3 years in Kani Yajuma, Bissine. Thousands of Panama.
It's been 4 years since Kwame got amputated. Across the country, 60% of all injuries recorded in our medical facilities are from road traffic accident. At the Konfonochi Teaching Hospital, a number of these victims suffer amputations. That's according to Dr. Dominic Kuneduyabwa.
Within a period of a week at the Accident Emergency Center of the Konfonochi Teaching Hospital, we record an average of 25 fractures, 25 broken bones, involving people of various age groups. We are registering significant number of people who come with injuries that require amputation.
He ushers me into one of the wards at Trauma and Orthopedics. It is an eyesore the extent of life-threatening injuries patients here have sustained. Metals can be clearly seen inside some of these fractured parts. Some limbs have been amputated. And 26-year-old Idrisu Shaibu is one. He is in this state as a result of a car accident in Kumasi. Idrisu and his master were the only two in that fuel tanker when it failed brakes and crashed.
We are on our way coming to home. All of a sudden, my driver failed brake, and I asked him why, but he didn't respond to me. The time that I noticed that we failed brake, the car was in a full speed, so she branched in a rough road and hit the car with a storyboard, and that caused the damage of my leg.
His right leg got trapped inside the mangled fuel tanker. He also bled until he could feel no sensation in the leg. Idrisu didn't hesitate to say yes to a suggestion of amputation upon the arrival at the Konfonochi Teaching Hospital to save his life. The wound has not healed yet, and Idrisu is still in pain. His worst pain, however, is in how he is going to live the rest of his life with a disability.
I feel sad because now I don't know whether I'm going to have a pure like artificial leg to walk like a normal, or I'm going to use a crutches. And I feel sad because I can't do other things like I'm doing before, but because I lost my leg, and I'm always thinking, oh Charlie, how am I going to do like that? So I always feel sad, but I keep it.
Seth Kwame Boateng with our latest hotline documentary, Crushed. Now, while the National Road Safety Authority is expected to begin regulating public transport operations, the police has initiated a technological response to effectively enforce road traffic regulations. There is more in this report by Manuel Kranting from the premiere last night.
The man said, "Yahoo, yahoo, yahoo." The tie bus, and he applied the bliss. I didn't see anything again.
I didn't see any blood or scratches around him. So I just held him, mentioned his name. There was no response.
Scenes that shocked patrons at the premiere of Crushed, the latest JoyNews hotline documentary produced by Seth Kwame Boateng.
I thought of how or what we could do as a media house to help reduce road crashes on our roads, because we can't sit down for over 2,000 lives to go just like that every year. So I had to think of what I could do to paint the picture for all Ghanaians to appreciate the magnitude of the problem.
For the entire period of the screening, people were visibly terrified.
I saw this lady cringing at some point. Tell me, what was going through your mind?
I was quite terrified by the accidents that were happening because it looks like most of us, both drivers, motorists, were not cautious of the necessary road safety measures that have to be put down on the road.
I feel very bad. My husband died through a car accident on his duty call. So I'm a widow. And that ignites that passion in me to be doing road safety.
Beyond the terror was a renewed commitment to ending road crashes. Apostle James Kofi Abre is with the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council.
We're seeing precious souls perishing, and we from the Christian fraternity, we value every soul. But now, as we have come to see, I'm going to share with the council to really factor in the road safety campaign, because we are in the talk ministry. Every week we meet our members.
And as more reactions were shared, one thing stood tall: a united call for enforcement of traffic regulations on our roads. Kofi Oforie-Siama is Transport Minister.
We cannot have a transport operating system without a regulator. So I'm appealing to the transport operators that going forward, the National Road Safety Commission Authority, ladies and gentlemen, is going to regulate the transport operators.
To succeed in this venture, Executive Director of the Road Safety Authority, Engineer May Obrieboa, wants law enforcement agencies to be allowed to do their work.
If ever we are to make a headway in our quest for safer roads, then we must step up our law enforcement game. The people who matter, and indeed those at the helm of affairs, should cease interfering and allow the MTTD to enforce the road traffic regulations.
And as this is pursued, there are efforts to upskill the technological component in enforcement of road traffic regulations. Superintendent Alexander Obeng is Head Education, Research and Training at the Police MTTD.
And that is why I've said, police, we are also focusing in automating our enforcement strategy, our enforcement efforts, so that technology will come and support the current traditional method that we are deploying.
Being Director of Training at the MTTD, speaking to me about what the police is yet to do on the back of this particular documentary produced by Seth Kwame Boateng. So it's essentially a multi-stakeholder consensus on the problem and the way forward. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Manuel Kranting.
Manuel Kranting with that report. I'm going to have a quick conversation on the back of this, and there's an aspect of that documentary that we're looking to explore in this particular conversation: insurance. How do you know that the car you're traveling in is covered? Even if it's covered, how? What are the processes to claim your insurance benefits? Head of Supervision, National Insurance Commission, Seth Shen, is joining me via Zoom for a conversation. Mr. Shen, you're welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity.
Right. Let me just introduce also who I have in the studio for to be a part of this particular conversation. Is the Accident Victims Support is a group whose head I have here in the studio, who will also be joining the conversation. Mr. Shen, when it comes to accident and insurance, what are the fundamentals? What are the basics that one should never lose sight of?
I think that the most important thing for all of us is to ensure that our cars are insured. And secondly, when we board any public vehicle or any commercial vehicle, that car is insured. There is a lot of ways that we have made it possible for people to do this. So you can use any network you are on. If you go for *920*57#, you'll be able to check whether the car that you are going to board has insurance or not. And I think that is something that we all should be able to do on each and every occasion, as to check this. I was watching the excerpt of your show.
Except, Mr.
I was
Shen.
cringing at some.
Mr. Chan, before you go on to talk about your reaction to the documentary, let's go through the way to check for the insurance of the vehicle you're in again. It's not a star 920
star 57 hash.
Star 920 star 57 hash.
Please, a star 920 star 57 hash.
That's right.
Yes, and so when you do that and you dial that number, you will be taken through some prompts and you'll be able to check using the vehicle registration number whether the car that you are going to board or any car that you have is actually insured.
Interesting, and that will inform your decision whether or not to board that particular vehicle. In the documentary that we aired, you wanted to give me your reaction. Let me take that and then I'll give you a question from the documentary.
Yes, it was quite cringing watching all these things. And I think one of the key things that was talked about a lot is the need for all the stakeholders involved to be part of this. And so we work a lot with the MTTD, with the police. We work with the road safety. We actually support the Road Safety Commission. So all that we do is to help ensure that on each given day, there are we all have the roads which are protected. One of the key things I would like to add on is measures that are available to people that also are involved in accidents and for the car isn't insured. The driver that you talked about is a case in point. So there are avenues available for them to seek some form of redress.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to actually talk about in detail. This driver says that there was an insurance package, but the insurance package only took care of the vehicle. So the vehicle, I beg your pardon, the vehicle owner takes his vehicle insurance, and him who has lost his leg is left with nothing. What can such a person do?
Yes, for the laws of Ghana states that any vehicle that plies on the road should have what we call a third-party insurance. What that third-party insurance does is that it protects the innocent person that you cause damage to. And there are certain benefits that can be paid to them. But just in case that you are involved in an accident in which the car wasn't insured, or just in case there was a hit and run, there is a fund that we have in the Insurance Commission, which is called the Motor Compensation Fund. So each year we take a little bit of the premiums from all insurance companies and we put it in that fund. So if there's a hit and run or there's an uninsured collision, you can make an application to the National Insurance Commission, and then we would ask you to submit some form of documentation. And we all know how we always seek to take advantage of things in Ghana. So you have to submit some form of documentation to ensure that you actually had an accident and you are actually entitled to it. And it only covers body injury and also the unfortunate incidents of a death. And so when those things occur, you can receive some form of compensation. But with some of the specific case of that driver, he may need to get in touch with the lawyer because what the owner has, he has a duty to look after him. So that is something that he has to look into.
So if I understand you clearly, he has two options: to contact a lawyer that can, lead the conversation between him and the vehicle owner, and also to write to the National Insurance Commission.
Yes, there are certain criteria that has to be met. But if a person meets it, definitely there are compensations that we give for that.
So just to be specific, for such a person, will he be eligible for this compensation?
I wouldn't be able to say it now because of the fact that I don't know all the facts of the case. We cover uninsured vehicles and also vehicles that are involved in what we call hit and run. So I need to look into it to see if he falls within those categories. But definitely it's something that we always support. Each and every week or every other week, we support about 15 to 20 Ghanaians in that. And there's a lot of money that is paid to Ghanaians for those purposes.
But I'm wondering, and this is the first time I'm hearing that there is actually a process, a short code process on the phone that you can go through to figure out if the vehicle you are boarding is insured or not. How come, if these exist, including the opportunities to seek redress with hit and run and uninsured vehicles, that people don't know? I mean, isn't it a part of the responsibility of the National Insurance Commission to make this information available through education to the Ghanaian populace?
We do, and we actually had a number of programs, even with your sister stations, multimedia. We went through a lot of other stations as well. And it's something that we do on a regular basis. We even commission jingles on this. So I wouldn't say that we have done everything. If someone has informed us, yourself, a journalist is not aware, it shows that there's work to be done. But I need to clarify that we actually did a lot of public education on Joy FM, on Adom, on Peace FM, and a number of stations all across Ghana on this. So there's a lot of work. But as you've rightly pointed out, there's more to be done. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't done.
Pretty much. Hang on for me and let me bring other people in this conversation. I want to call on our viewers to join in this conversation. If you're watching us, you have a question on your mind, let's see if we can put that through quickly before we go. The number is 0540109009. That's 0540109009. But the burden of road accident requires a multi-sectoral approach in the country like Ghana, where there are no deliberate policies for victims, like you heard. The burden falls then back on the family, friends, and the benevolence of the public. There's a group which has been doing this and helping accident victims. It's the Accident Victims Support in Ghana. It's headed by Reverend Cyril Benedict Crab, and he's also joined us in the conversation. He actually watched the documentary yesterday at the premiere. Reverend Crab, you're welcome to the show. You have your own reaction from yesterday. Briefly, what is it? Tell us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Greetings to my board. They are watching now. In fact, I must commend and also applaud physically for the work that you've done. You know, our foundation really do not have that finances to do such a thing, but you have augmented and brought to bear what is actually out there. I was surprised how you got to those cameras, to capture these dangerous, deadly, gory accidents. And in fact, I must commend you all. And you've asked a very brilliant question to the man. God bless them for what they are doing. But the victims out there are really suffering. Yesterday, I cried. And I was the 9th person that spoke before we gave the closing prayer. And I spoke about prayer. Because where we are, what we are seeing now is a well-standard documentary. And I can tell you, this is very scary. And if this is going on in our country, then it means that we are doing nothing, but there is more to be done. National Road Safety Authority have done so well, augmented by the multimedia group, but there is still more to be done. And as you rightly said, it needs multi-sectorial approach. Now, the victim as an individual, losing one life alone, just one life, look at how it feels. Then lose a number of people in a high occupancy vehicle that have crashed, and you have more than, in some cases, March 22nd, you have more than 100 people died in one day. How do we compensate these people? And even the way we bury them, I always say that we have in our place victims who keep on crying that they are family members, loved ones, fathers, mothers, individuals who have been involved in these accidents, and they've died unbefitting death and unbefitting burial that has been given to us. What is the state giving to them? And that's where we are coming. We are at the moment. What we are also saying is that you're
expecting that the state will institute some kind of fund for people like that?
At this particular moment, we've been 10 years running, and so we don't need that, but we need partnership with the state. that, okay, we have accident victim support. Let's sit around the table and discuss how we can support you to support these people.
Okay.
Because there are many of them out there who rely on us as we talk right now. And it is becoming burdensome as the accident keep on increasing.
Right.
Because buying a wheelchair, buying wheelchair crutches, Zimmer frames, even going to the OPD. Yesterday, they asked a question to the National Insurance Commission director, the madam who came, about national insurance. Most of them don't even have the card. And he said that there are many of them, 16 million people who have it, but it's only, I think, 8 million or 12 million that is running. And it's like, we need to step up, you know, to educate on this. The Ghanaian must know. Look at insurance compensation. The question you asked that I said was so brilliant that people don't know about this. I got to know about this last year, and I have decided that when I go into a car, I tell the passengers that because of the rampant accidents that you're having, there is this thing out there that you need to check. So everybody must pick up their phones, go to the place and check. And guess what? Some of them even have to get down from the vehicle. And I said, no, don't get down. But you yourself need to be insured.
Okay, let me wrap this up with you, Mr. Shen. Mr. Shen, so going forward with all the details that we have seen in our documentary and the reactions that have come, and as you yourself has admitted, there is a lot of work to do. What is the plan going forward?
Thank you. I think that the plan is one, we need to first of all sit down and think, what are the causes of accidents? Quite a number of them is because of roads that are not designed well, which is one. Bad roads that we have, vehicles that are broken down, that are left on the road, and just people who are not supposed to drive, but because our licensing regime doesn't stop bad drivers, they go through. So there are a number of issues, and then we need to sit down and for each of those issues, think about ways by which we can address them. Even after we've done all of these things, accident will still occur. And for those accidents that they still occur, we need to have ways by which, when they do occur, we can have packages available to sort of reduce the pain that the people go through. And that would be through insurance. I do say every time that we get third-party motor, you need to understand what the insurance covers. And knowing what the insurance covers, it will inform you whether you can do a bit more or not. For example, if you have a saloon vehicle, you just pay 327 Ghana cedis for a third-party motor. But that has limits as to what will be paid if there's an accident, because the money is quite slow. So you need to be able to then say, okay, I can pay 100 cedis more to increase what we call the personal accident limit, such that if there's an accident, there's a greater amount of money that the insurance company would pay. So all these things are things that as individuals we need to think about. But I do accept that there is also work from the people that the state has employed, such as myself, such as the road safety, such as the police. We all have work to do, and we will do those work, but it's also individual responsibility. So there is this number that we have put out there, *920*57#. We need to make use of that to ensure that at least when we board a vehicle, when we buy insurance, to be even able to know whether the insurance that you bought is a legitimate insurance. No Goro boy has sold you insurance which is not legitimate. Check your own vehicle to know that that vehicle is actually insured. And this is individual responsibility that we also have to do. So there's work for us ourselves, and there's work for people that we pay, including myself, from the taxes of Ghanaians. We also have work to do.
Yeah, I just got a question coming in from a viewer who's asking whether in you know how our trotters are loaded, are usually loaded, like he's saying that in a vehicle like that, will each of them, if they should apply for compensation, get through to that compensation?
Yes, so if they do, there are cases that there's been accident that we have to pay out 5, 6, 7 people who were involved in that accident. So one, if the car is not insured, if the car was insured but the driver of the vehicle isn't licensed, or there was a hit and run, once there is liability, we will take over the liability, and there's some sort of compensation. It's not as huge as you get from your insurance company, but at least you would get something. So they should make use of that. We have branches. I'm on my way to Sunyani. We are just opening a branch in Sunyani to serve the Brong and Ahafo regions, and we have offices in Tamale, we have offices in Kumasi. They can make use of all those offices to make those sort of claims, or they could come to our head office in Accra as well, and they can make those sort of petitions to us, and we will definitely look into it.
Okay, is there a number to reach you if someone wants to put in such a request?
Yes, please. They could get to us on 0302 960 659. 0302 960 659, or they could send an email as well to info@nicgh.org. info@nicgh.org. So those are some ways by which they could get to us. Or they could also just write the traditional letter to the National Insurance Commission, PO Box CT 3456, Cantonment, Accra. So PO Box CT 3456, Cantonment, Accra. So those are means by which they could get hold of us. And as I said, we would require some documentation, but once we get it, we will make payment.
That's where I was going to. I think this is a very important part. I did say that we're wrapping up with you, but this is a very important part. If I'm coming to you, what sort of documentation do you require of me so that I don't come all the way and I just find out that I'm not eligible?
So the key things are the issues that I talked about. Was it an uninsured car?
Okay.
Was it repudiated because the driver wasn't licensed? Was it a hit and run? So if you fall into those categories, the next thing that you need to do to us is to bring us a police report. That is sometimes difficult to get, but if we don't have that requirement, people will take advantage. We know the country that we live in, and people even steal from churches, and we know what even pastors do. So there needs to be a police report. There's also a need, if there's a death involved as well, then we will need a death certificate or a burial certificate as well. So I think that the easiest to do is that if they get in touch with us on those email addresses or on those things, we will get back to them stating exactly the information that we require. And once they do that, we will take the case on.
My final question. I have Reverend Cyril Crab here, who leads an organization that supports victims of accidents. And he's talking about how it's becoming a burden for him and people like him in the organization to take care of such people. Is there a way of supporting an organization like this from where you sit?
I would say that we have some mandate as to what exactly we can do and what we cannot do. So it would be very difficult for me to sit and just make that statement here. But I know he knows us. We deal with him a lot. When we opened the Cape Coast branch, he was there. So he knows us, and he can always talk to us. And if there's a way, we will find a way. But I won't be able to sit on national TV and make a commitment as well.
I understand. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Shen. We appreciate it. Seth Eshen is the head of supervision with the National Insurance Commission. Eshen, they're speaking to us. Let's wrap it up, Reverend Crab. Yeah, you've heard what he said. Maybe you can reach out to them and see if there can be some kind of support for the organization. But I'm looking at this video, this documentary, and thinking, how can we show this video or make sure that the drivers, the people who usually drive these commercial vehicles, because with the accidents we've recorded so far, commercial vehicles are at the top, motorbikes are at the top as well. Greater Accra region, Ashanti region, and I think the Eastern region are also on top. How would your an organization like yours support in taking the content of this video, for example, to these people who drive this vehicle? Is there a plan like this?
Yes. Actually, when this video was about to come, we were called. My administrator was called to bring some victims, children, but they were very far. The serious ones wanted to bring on board whose legs were amputated like 9 years. Both legs have gone through accidents. They were very far, so we couldn't get them on board. But we've decided that with this video and what we were also preparing, I told them yesterday on a lighter note, I said, if you have crashed, then we change ours to mashed. Mashed in a sense that we went to see an accident, and the way the car was crushed, crumpled, is the same way the human beings involved were mashed and crumpled. And I went to see them. And so we have decided to download this, that wherever we go and have a talk, or I do the National All Drivers Prayer Summit. Okay. We've decided to take it at least every 2 months. We'll go to a station. So we have earmarked that we'll take this and then put it on a screen for them to see. There they can appreciate the fact that they are causing a lot of harm to passengers or motorists themselves. Then they can, in a way, think about it. But for every victim also who is having difficulty, at our place we have a legal advisor who steps in for us, and we are known also by the police, the National Road Safety Authority. In fact, Mama May, Engineer May Obriyeboa have done brilliantly well to let people know that we are a credible organization, and so she led us to the National Insurance Commission. And so with our letter, if we go, they are going to, to support. And anybody who is out there who have also been supported, but you are having some kind of difficulty in the area of trauma, psychological difficulty, or you are even having problems of how you can reinstate yourself back to the society, we have a way, to talk to you and to help you to make sure that you find your feet back on the road. Right. And then we also have a small organization where we do religious exercises, pray with them, counsel them, and also make sure, at least if we have some that they have become orcas, some have become orphans, some also have become, childless through, the trauma. And so we've tried in a way as a pastor to pray with them and also to give them a sense of hope and liveliness, so they can call upon us and come. We have about 160 people at the moment that across the globe, some from Dompoase, some from Chichire, some from Kintampo 1 and 2, that we are still talking to and still supporting. We also look for job for accident victims who are currently, at home, and because of their situation, they are not, able to, work. And so anybody who have any challenges in that area, Accident Victim Support Ghana is there to help them. But on a higher side, or if I can request an appeal, multimedia, please do support us with our One Ghana, One Victim campaign. Because there are a lot of people who I'm talking to you right now, very poor, not very poor, but also very vulnerable, and they have become prey, to these accidents, and they are at home in the rural areas, and I think they need serious support, which we don't have. So I'm appealing to multimedia, as well as appealing to corporate Ghana and the government at large to come to us, to come to our aid, so we can also support these people. Our numbers, if you like.
Okay, please go through your numbers.
0246 869214. That's my number, but the support line is 0241 1234 30. 0241 123430. Any form of support that you have in the area of recovery aid and cash, you can call upon us, and we'll do well to support others who are in this trauma.
That's Reverend Cyril Crabb. He has the Accident Victim Support Unit. They support accident victims. They work with the National Road Safety Authority as well. If you want to support any of these people for the road crash victims, 0241 123 430 and 0246 869 214. But here is how you know that the vehicle you're boarding is insured or not. Star 920 star 57 hash. Star 920 hash 57 star 920 star 57 hash. Okay, so it's actually on your screen right there. You can always refer to it. Reverend Crab, thank you very much for coming.
But you're looking beautiful.
Thank you. Now, still on reactions from the premiering last night, Chairman of the Transport Committee in Parliament, Kennedy Nyakwose, says the MTTD must start taking on politicians who flout traffic regulations, starting with him.
Thank you. I believe my colleague have touched most of the issues that I would have addressed, but just watching the documentary, you realize that about 90% of all the accidents that happen in the documentary were as a result of human errors. It means they fail to observe the road traffic regulations. It is very important that we, as a people, whether the National Road Safety Authority, whether the police, all the agencies that have the mandate, the power to ensure that road users comply with our road traffic rules, they have to enforce it. I've seen that one of the major problems that we have in this country is enforcement. Because when the police even arrest somebody who might have crossed the red light or whatever it is, you see him going to beg so that they will allow him to go, instead of the person being penalized. So I think we need to start enforcing the law and penalizing people. Now, National Road Safety Authority, your mandate have been broadened. You have expanded it. You now have powers to sanction people. Okay? So I believe the stage is set for you. What I think you need now is resources. You need enough resources. We cannot achieve it, because when you travel outside and see, you don't see policemen standing. They are using technology to deal with some of these matters. So when technology is there, you will be able to deal with, minimize some of these issues. When you travel and there's a road, there's accident on the way, maybe some meters or kilometers away, you will see a digital board displaying, telling you that there's accident, so you slow down. So by the time you get there, all those on the route might have slowed down because there's a danger ahead. We don't have it here. So there's something that we need to start doing. And when we do it right, I'm sure we'll be able to minimize the carnage on our road. 2,585 people just losing their lives. It's more than any, I don't know, but I think we on the part of Parliament have done our part. That is to enact the law. We've brought the law out. We've been able to ensure that we've given enough powers to the Road Safety Authority to be able to bite. Now the enforcing agencies, you are here, the police, the Road Safety Authority, yourself, and the other people, you have to ensure, because when it is not being enforced, you can't come and blame Parliament.
You can't come and blame Parliament, he says. Well, some of you have sent in your messages. We'll try and read some of them after this conversation, which I'm bringing to you now.